You know how sometimes you look at really successful people and just wonder, how do they do that? What's their secret?
Right. And often we think it's, some innate talent or something they were born with.
Exactly. But what if it's actually less about some magic gift and more about, well, how they think?
That's precisely the idea. And the really great news, the thing we want you to take away today, is that this way of thinking, it's learnable. It's a skill you can develop.
Ah, okay. So that's what we're diving into today.
Yes, we're digging into John C. Maxwell's book, How Successful People Think. It's fantastic because it really breaks down these mental habits that drive progress, making achievement feel, well, less mysterious.
Love that. So think of this deep dive as your shortcut to understanding how to tap into your own potential. We're aiming to pull out those really actionable insights, those aha moments from Maxwell.
The ones that can genuinely make a difference, yeah,
Yeah.
in your work, in your personal life. We'll focus on those key ways of thinking that successful people seem to cultivate.
So before we even get into the how, why is this so important? Why should you, listening right now, really care about changing your thinking?
Well, Maxwell makes it really clear. This isn't just, some theoretical exercise. It has real-world benefits. Good thinking generates revenue. It helps you solve those really tricky
Well, it creates
problems.
opportunities too, right?
Absolutely. It creates new opportunities, and ultimately, it propels you to a whole new level, both professionally and personally. It's foundational.
Okay, I'm sold. Changing my thinking is valuable. But where do I even start? Like, what's step one?
So Maxwell gives a really practical starting point. Expose yourself to good input. Simple as that.
Good input, meaning,
Think of it like priming a pump. You
yeah.
can't get fresh water or fresh ideas from an empty well,
Oh,
right? So successful thinkers are always feeding their minds.
okay. How?
Reading widely books, sure, but also trade magazines, relevant articles,
Mm-hmm.
listening actively podcasts, talks that challenge you, and, critically, spending time with other good thinkers. You know that saying, iron sharpens iron?
Ah, yeah. Being around people who make you think differently. That makes a lot of sense. You need fuel for the mental fire.
Exactly. Fuel.
But then what?
Yeah.
You take all this stuff in. How do you actually, shape those raw ideas into something useful for you?
That's the next key step. You need a place, a process, to actually shape those thoughts. Maxwell really stresses this. Ideas rarely just pop out fully formed. They need scrutiny.
Shaping. How?
Well, they need questioning, refining, and one of the absolute best tools for this, writing.
Writing them down.
Yes. There's a great quote from S.I. Hayakawa. Learning to write is learning to think. You don't know anything clearly unless you can state it in writing.
That hits home. Putting it on paper forces clarity. It shows you the fuzzy bits.
Precisely. It makes you confront whether you really understand it.
So it's active, not passive. You got to engage with the input. But look, life is busy. There's so much demanding our attention. How do successful people actually choose to focus their thinking? How can you cut through that noise?
That brings us to intentionality. Maxwell is really strong in this. Thinking isn't accidental, it's a discipline.
A discipline, like
Uh,
exercise.
Kind of, yeah. You have to choose to think good thoughts, make it a priority. He tells this great story about Dan Cathy, from Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah. What did he do?
He literally scheduled thinking time, like half a day every 2 weeks, a whole day every month, even a couple of full days every year, just to think.
Wow. Just dedicated time.
Yeah, his goal was, as he put it, to keep the main thing the main thing.
So the takeaway for you listening is find your own rhythm, your own thinking place, and actually write stuff down.
Exactly. Find a method that works for you. Capture those ideas. Be intentional about it.
I love that. A thinking schedule. It really highlights that it takes effort. Okay, but what about action? You can have the best thoughts neatly written down, but if they just sit there
Right. What good are they? Maxwell points out that ideas kind of have a short shelf life. You got to act.
before they go stale.
Pretty much. Before they lose that momentum, that relevance. Eddie Rickenbacker, the World War I ace, had this simple formula. 6 words.
What was it?
Think things through, then follow through.
Think, then follow through. Simple, but powerful. The real impact comes when you actually do something with the idea in your own life.
That's it. Thinking is the start, not the end point.
Okay, this next one feels a bit different. Maxwell talks about emotions. How do feelings fit into this, disciplined thinking process for you?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? He suggests you can't always wait until you feel like thinking.
Oh. So you don't need to be in the mood.
Not necessarily. Sometimes you just have to start the act of thinking, engage that discipline. And then the emotions can actually follow and fuel the process.
So action first, feelings follow.
In a way, yes. Once you're in that focused mental work, your emotions can become like a catalyst, adding energy, adding momentum, helping you refine things.
Okay, fascinating. So we've got the why, the value, and the basic how, input, shaping, focus, action, even using emotion. Now, Maxwell talks about specific skills of good thinkers. He paints this portrait of a good thinker, 11 skills.
That's right, 11 key abilities that tend to show up in good thinkers. You want the list.
Yeah, let's get the overview. What are they for you listening?
Okay, so Maxwell lists big picture thinking, focused thinking, creative thinking, realistic thinking, strategic thinking, possibility thinking, reflective thinking, questioning popular thinking, shared thinking, unselfish thinking, and finally, bottom line thinking.
Wow, okay. That's a lot.
It is. But the key point he makes is that developing these isn't about your background or IQ, it's about willingness, daily engagement.
Like building different muscles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He uses this analogy from the book Built to Last, comparing a visionary company to a great piece of art, all the parts working together. Good thinking is similar. You cultivate this range of abilities.
Makes sense. Let's dive into a few. Big picture thinking. Why is seeing the forest, not just the trees, so vital for you? And how do you even start developing that?
Big picture thinking is absolutely crucial for leadership. Whether you're leading a company, a team, or just your own life, you need that broader view.
Seeing beyond the immediate tasks.
Right. And developing it involves a few shifts for you. First, Maxwell says get comfortable with ambiguity. Don't always need 100% certainty.
That's hard for some people.
It can be. Second, really try to learn from every experience, good and bad. Stay teachable. Third, get insights from different kinds of people, especially those with, broader or deeper experience than you.
Diverse counsel.
Exactly. And fourth, give yourself permission to, expand your world. Think outside your usual box. Break new ground sometimes.
That comfort with ambiguity piece, it really resonates. It's so easy to get lost in the day-to-day details. And seeking diverse views, super important. What else marks a big picture thinker for you?
Well, a huge part is being able to step outside your own world, your own agenda, and genuinely try to understand where other people are coming from. That takes active listening.
Seeing their perspective.
Yes. Henry David Thoreau had a great line. Many an object is not seen, though it falls within the range of our visual ray, because it does not come within the range of our intellectual ray. It's about broadening that intellectual ray.
So it connects to living more fully.
Definitely. Montaigne said something like, the value of life isn't just how long you live, but how you use the days you have. Big picture thinking helps you use them well.
Powerful. Okay, let's zoom in now. From the big picture. 2. Focused thinking. What are the direct benefits of really honing this skill for you?
Focus. So important. Maxwell argues it's key for harnessing your energy towards what actually matters, your goals.
Stop spreading yourself too thin.
Exactly. It brings clarity, helps you prioritize, and takes you to the next level. You avoid being just a generalist. There's a quote from Harry A. Overstreet. Something about the immature mind hopping around while the mature mind follows through.
Right, so how do you decide what to focus on? You can't focus on everything, can you?
No, absolutely not. That's the point. Maxwell says be selective. Focus on your top priorities. This could mean focusing on your strengths.
What you're good at.
Yeah, or the things that give you the highest return, what you actually enjoy. Applying that 80-20 rule, 20% of effort gives 80% of results. Seizing those really exceptional opportunities.
And knowing yourself, your gifts.
Definitely. Discovering your gifts maybe through, personality profiles, getting feedback from people you trust, reflecting on past wins, and then developing your dream or goal. Focused thinking helps you clarify that and then move forward without constantly second-guessing. Like Satchel Paige said, don't look back. Something might be gaining on you.
Love that. Okay, so you've identified your priorities. How do you actually stay focused with all the emails, notifications, everything pulling at you every day?
Yeah, cultivating focus is a battle, right? It needs deliberate strategies. First, Maxwell says, remove distractions. That means prioritizing ruthlessly, maybe insulating yourself for blocks of time.
Creating boundaries.
Yes, and being present. Wherever you are, be there. Second, actually make time for it. Schedule it. Avoid the myth of multitasking. It usually just means doing several things badly. Maybe find your best thinking time. Maxwell mentions he likes mornings.
Like Dan Cathy's thinking schedule.
Sort of, yeah. Third, think on paper writing again. Fourth, set clear goals. They give direction. Not set in stone, but a direction.
And checking in.
Right. Fifth, question your progress. Is this focus paying off? Am I getting closer to my goals? And realizing, too, that focusing means giving some things up. You can't know everyone or do everything.
That's a tough one, what you give up to go up. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Creative thinking. This sounds more expansive. What's the value here for you?
Creative thinking is really about connecting the unconnected. Tim Hansen said creativity is about making associations, turning things around, seeing them in new ways.
I'm in new links.
Exactly. And a key part for you is not being terrified of failure. Charles Frankel noted that anxiety is kind of essential for creative work. You have to risk not getting it right.
Makes sense. You can't play it safe and be truly creative.
Right. And creativity, interestingly, seems to compound. Maya Angelou said, you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. It builds on itself.
Oh, I like
And
that.
it draws people in. Creative thinking can be really engaging. It's like intelligence having fun, right? Think Leonardo da Vinci, that innovative spark.
Intelligence having fun. Great description. Okay, so creativity is about new possibilities. But then there's realistic thinking, bringing it back down to earth. Why is that so vital for you?
Absolutely. Realistic thinking is the anchor. It's about knowing the difference between wishful thinking and, well, what is? Reality.
Grounding yourself.
Yeah. Maxwell stresses, hope is not a strategy. Realistic thinking gives you a target, a game plan based on facts. It's catalyst for change because it shows you where things really stand.
Provide security, too.
Definitely, by making you think about contingencies.
Yeah.
What if plan A fails? It also builds your credibility. People trust you know the facts. It gives you a solid foundation to build on, improves decision-making.
And helps make the dream actually happen.
Exactly. It brings the dream to fruition.
Yeah.
John Galsworthy had a sharp quote, idealism increases in direct proportion to one's distance from the problem. Being realistic means getting close to the actual problem.
So, how do you cultivate this? It's not always fun to face the cold, hard facts.
No, it isn't. But it starts with just getting comfortable with the truth. Churchill said something like, people stumble over the truth but hurry off like nothing happened. Ted Koppel said truth can be strong medicine. You have to be willing to swallow it.
Ooh, okay. What else?
Do your homework, gather the facts, don't rely on assumptions. Chester Bowles said you need facts for sound judgment. Then really think through the pros and cons. And finally, consider the worst-case scenario. Not to be negative, but to be prepared. Charles Hull said deliberate with caution, act with decision.
Deliberate, then act. Got it. Tough, but necessary. Okay, moving on to strategic thinking. This sounds like planning, but maybe bigger, longer term than just realistic planning for you.
Precisely. Strategic thinking is about looking beyond the immediate, planning further out. Maxwell uses his own example of planning his calendar weeks, even months, in advance.
Thinking ahead, what are the benefits for you?
Big benefits. It simplifies difficult things by helping you create systems. It prompts you to ask the right questions. Bob Beal's questions are great here. Where are we going? How will we organize? Who provides resources? How do we track, evaluate, refine?
Those are good questions.
Yeah. And it encourages customization, tailoring the plan. General Patton said something about never telling people how to do things, just what to achieve, and they'll surprise you. Strategy provides the what's.
Okay, how do you put strategic thinking into practice in your own work or life?
Well, first, break the issue down, like Henry Ford with the assembly line, simplify complexity. Second, know your resources inside out. What do you actually have to work with?
Inventory check.
Yep. Third, identify the real issues and objectives. William Feather said you have to clearly define a problem before you can solve it. Fourth, review those resources again against the objectives. Make sure they match up.
Right. Fifth, develop multiple options, multiple potential strategies. Don't just have one plan. Sixth, if it involves others, put the right people in the right places. Misalignment is costly.
Crucial point.
And finally, allow time for it. Strategy needs thinking space. Maxwell even tells that story about the Maxwell House Haggad that came from strategic thinking about an unmet need.
Ah, seeing a gap and filling it strategically. Cool example. All right, let's talk possibility thinking. This sounds optimistic, like the opposite of just being realistic.
It's more like a complement to realism, I think. It's about believing solutions exist. Sam Ewing's quote is perfect. Nothing is so embarrassing as watching someone do something that you said could not be done.
Huh, yeah. So what does this belief in possibilities do for you?
Well, it increases your possibilities. Think George Lucas and Star Wars people thought he was crazy, but he believed it was possible.
It expands your horizons, definitely. And it tends to draw opportunities and positive people to you. It increases others' possibilities too. Your belief can be infectious. And it lets you dream bigger. David J. Schwartz wrote about big thinkers creating positive, optimistic pictures.
So how do you nurture that possibility mindset for yourself? Especially if you tend towards cynicism or just see limitations easily?
Good question. It starts with consciously fighting negative thinking. Even Lucas called himself a cynic, but chose optimism. He said positive thinking plus determination and talent get you far.
Choose optimism.
Yeah. And talk like a possibility thinker. Focus on solutions, not just problems. Look for the good. Maxwell mentions Don Soderquist doing this. Dream one size bigger than you're comfortable with.
Stretch yourself.
Exactly. And question the status quo. Ask why not. Big breakthroughs rarely come from accepting things as they are.
Okay, challenge negativity, talk possibilities, look for good, dream bigger, question status quo. Got it. Now, reflective thinking. This sounds like looking back.
It is, but in a productive way. Maxwell calls it the crock pot of the mind, letting things simmer.
Crockpot of the mind, I like that. What does simmering do for you?
It gives you true perspective. Looking back after some time has passed lets you evaluate more clearly. It gives emotional integrity, separating the event from the immediate emotion.
Calms things down.
Right. It increases confidence in future decisions because you've learned from the past. It clarifies the big picture, putting experiences in context. And crucially, it makes a good experience truly valuable. Just having an experience isn't enough.
Like Shakespeare's past sorrows, using them wisely. Or Mark Twain and the cat on the stove.
Exactly. Learn the lesson. Don't just avoid the stove. Extract the wisdom.
So how do you actually do reflective thinking in a busy life? How can you make time for simmering?
You have to be intentional. First, set aside time for it. Schedule it, like focused thinking. Second, remove distractions. Find some solitude.
Quite.
Yes. Third, review and evaluate recent events. Ask yourself, what went well? What didn't? What could I do differently? Fourth, maybe create a system. Maxwell mentions his friend Dick Biggs looking at events, their significance, and action points. Or just keep a simple log.
Find a structure that works for you.
Right. And fifth, the most important part, cement the learning through action. Take those reflections and apply them. Mark up takeaways from books or talks and decide how you'll use them.
Actionable reflection. Makes sense. Okay, next up, questioning popular thinking. This sounds a bit rebellious. Why shouldn't you just go with the flow?
Well, Maxwell observes that sometimes popular thinking just means not thinking at all. His friend Kevin Myers said it thinking is hard work, so people often just follow the crowd.
The path of least resistance.
Exactly. And popular thinking can simply be wrong or outdated.
Hmm.
It's often slow to embrace needed change. Donald M. Nelson said we have to assume there's probably a better way to do almost everything, not just stick to old routines.
So unpopular thinking is where innovation comes from.
Often, yes. It challenges assumptions and pushes boundaries for you.
Okay, how do you cultivate that? How do you get comfortable challenging the norm in your own thinking?
First, value your own individuality.
Mm.
Don't just try to fit in. Second, appreciate thinking that's different from yours. Seek it out. Maxwell mentions his brother Larry deliberately connecting with people in totally different fields.
Broaden your inputs again.
Right. Third, actively challenge your own thinking. Ask yourself why you believe something. Fourth, try new things in new ways. Even simple stuff like taking a different route home can shake things up.
Get out of the rut.
Yeah. And fifth, just get used to being a bit uncomfortable sometimes. Going against the grain isn't always easy.
Takes courage.
Well,
Okay, now shared thinking. This feels like the opposite of questioning popular thinking, maybe. Like teamwork.
it's about the power of collaboration, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Blanchard's quote sums it up. None of us is as smart as all of us.
Two heads are better than one. What are the benefits for you?
It's usually faster than going it alone. It brings multiple perspectives, different angles you might miss. It adds maturity and experience to the mix.
More brain power.
Exactly. And the synergy, the combined result, is often stronger than the sum of the parts. It returns greater value. Maxwell actually says it's the only way to get truly great thinking. Ben Johnson said something like, teaching only yourself makes you a fool student.
Strong words. So how do you encourage this? Whether you're leading a team or just collaborating, how do you make shared thinking work well?
It starts with genuinely valuing others' ideas.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself honestly, am I secure enough to hear other views?
Yeah.
Do I really value these people?
Shake your ego.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Move from competition, wanting your idea to win, to cooperation, wanting the best idea to win. Jeffrey J. Fox said, be indiscriminate about where good ideas come from.
Oh.
Yes. And then choose the right people to think with. Look for people who care about the idea more than their ego, who build on others' thoughts, who are flexible, who value different skills, know their own strengths, put the team first, bring out the best in others, have relevant experience, take ownership, and have that we attitude.
That's a great checklist for finding good collaborators. Okay, nearly there. Unselfish thinking, going beyond just teamwork.
Yeah, this is broader. It's about thinking beyond yourself, your own gain. Its impact could be huge for you.
How so?
Well, it could literally change your world. Think Alfred Nobel creating the Peace Prize. After seeing his premature obituary calling him the Merchant of Death, it adds huge value to others. Bessie Anderson Stanley's definition of success was all about making the world better.
Leaving a positive mark.
Exactly. It brings lasting joy, expands your influence, provides deep purpose, and creates a real legacy. That idea of learn, earn, return from Jack Balusic fits here.
Learn, earn, return. I like that. How do you practice this? It's easy to be self-focused.
It takes conscious effort. First, intentionally put others first sometimes. Blanchard and Peale said, humility isn't thinking less of yourself, just thinking of yourself less. The Apostle Paul had similar advice.
Shift the focus.
Right. Expose yourself to situations where people have needs, volunteer, and engage in your community. Give quietly, maybe anonymously sometimes, and really value relationships. Adopt a win-win approach. How can we both benefit? Focus on adding value to others.
Powerful stuff. Okay, last one. Bottom line thinking. This sounds very focused, maybe related to strategic thinking.
It is focused, yeah. It's about cutting through everything else to get to the absolute core essence of the goal, the real bottom line.
Stripping away the fluff.
Exactly. How do you achieve it? First, define that real bottom line. What truly matters here? What's non-negotiable? Second, make that the point. Keep coming back to it. Don't get sidetracked by unclear intentions or secondary issues.
Keep your eye on the prize.
Right. Third, ensure all the smaller goals, all the activities directly support that main bottom line. Check for alignment.
And get everyone on the same page.
Crucial. If you're working with others, make sure everyone understands and is pulling towards that same clearly defined bottom line. Clarity and focus on the ultimate goal.
Okay. Clarity, alignment, focus on the true goal. Wow. That's quite a tour of different ways to think. Incredibly insightful. Thank you.
My pleasure. And really, as we wrap up, the big takeaway for you listening is just that intentionally changing how you think genuinely has the power to change your life. It's not fixed.
Absolutely. And just to leave you, our listener, with a final thought on that, drawing from Maxwell's own conclusion, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, all life is an experiment. Your thoughts. They're the start of every experiment you run.
And those thoughts, as John Locke pointed out, determine who you are, what you do.
Yeah.
He compared incomes to shoes too small, they pinch, too big, you stumble. Your thoughts determine the size of your shoes, metaphorically speaking.
Ultimately, as James Allen wrote, your thoughts shape your destiny, your legacy. And William Arthur Ward observed, those at the top simply think differently.
But the most empowering part, maybe from the Apostle Paul in Philippians, is the idea that we can choose what we think about. We can change how we think.
So maybe the question for you now is, which of these thinking skills we talked about resonates most? Which one feels like the next step for your growth, for your goals?
Where might you want to dig a little deeper? Because the potential impact of deliberately cultivating even one of these skills is pretty significant.
Absolutely. So here's to your journey of thinking better, thinking deeper, and seeing the amazing places that can take you.